What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Swap Media YouTube channel. My name is Sean Bernard as usual, and I'm excited to announce that for this video, we have partnered with Whop.com, WHOP.com. Whop is an all-in-one marketplace for sports communities and other digital products. If you're looking to find communities on all things sports, sports capping, sports betting, and sports fandom, head to Whop.com/sports. They're the all-in-one digital marketplace, the Amazon of the future for digital products. I'm incredibly proud and excited to be partnering, so make sure to go check that out. You can click the link in our description and our comments. Thank you to Whop for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys for tuning in.
Going down the field, can they do it again? Yes, they can!
And the catch is made by Taj Washington. Touchdown, USC.
Blocked by Embiid! Timmy, yes!
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Beef Upfront podcast here on Swap Media. This is your host Ryan Coyle, joined by Kevin Cannon for our weekly show, NFL Big 5 Games of the Week. The regular season finale, hard to believe we're already here in Week 18. I just want to start off the show, thoughts and prayers to Damar Hamlin and the Bills after that scary incident on Monday night. For our Big 5 Games of the Week, we won't be touching on the Bills, Patriots, and the Ravens, Bengals, just because there's still things to play out with that Bills and Bengals game from Monday night that could impact the standings. So didn't want to do too much speculating tonight. So we just kind of narrowed it down to the 5 games that could still have playoff implications. Not exactly the greatest slate of games this week, but still some pretty big ones, which some teams need to win to get in. We have a division title game out on the line. So that Bills-Bengals game still to be seen what happens with that. I'm not sure how they'll play it with the playoffs coming up, but that's why they pay the NFL the big bucks to figure that type of stuff out. But still, regular season finale, big show here before we head into the playoffs next week. But welcome back, Kevin. How are we?
Good. It's crazy that this is the last week here already.
All right, we will recap Week 17 real quick. Like I said, without having conclusion to that Bengals-Bills game, we have 3 less games in our standings than usual. Last week, I went 6-8 overall, 2-0 though with the upset, and the best bet been on fire over these past, I think, 9 or 10 weeks. I believe I'm like 7-3 or 8-2 with these underdog money lines. With the Browns beating the Commanders hitting, and then best bet of under 36.5 in Ravens Steelers hitting as well. Kev, you went 5-9. You went 1-1 on your best bet upset special. You had the Patriots over the Dolphins, that hit, and then your best bet 49ers minus 5.5 before Derek Carr even got announced bench, and the Raiders came out and had a really good game last week, brought that one down to the wire. 49ers only wound up winning by 3. So big Week 18 here on tap, looking to finish the year out strong before we head into the best time of the year, the NFL playoffs. So before we get into the games for today, I'm just going to run through the playoff clinching scenarios. Like I said, a lot remains to be seen with what happens with that Bengals-Bills game, because if they do wind up playing, the Bengals win, then they win the AFC North, but they have this game against the Ravens this week. There's so much speculation out there, it's not really worth diving into, but these are the guarantee things. So for the NFC, the number 7, the 6 playoff teams are set. The Eagles are still playing for the division, as well as the Cowboys. But the 7th seed is still up for grabs. The Packers clinch with a win versus the Lions. We'll be talking about that game. The Lions would clinch with a win at the Packers and a Seahawks loss or tie versus the Rams. Or the Lions could tie as well versus the Packers and the Seahawks lose versus the Rams, or tie versus the Packers. There's a bunch of tie scenarios in there, but most likely scenario is the Lions need a win and a Seahawks loss. And then for the Seahawks, they would clinch the 7th spot with a win and a Packers loss or tie versus the Lions. So those are the most likely scenarios for the NFC 7th seed. The AFC 7th seed, the Patriots clinch. They're sitting at 8-8 with a win at the Bills, or if that game is even going to get played, not sure yet. Or the Dolphins lose versus the Jets and the Steelers lose and the Jaguars win, then the Patriots would get in. Dolphins, theirs is pretty simple. Win versus the Jets and Patriots lose to the Bills, they would get in. Steelers need a win as well as a Dolphins loss and Patriots loss to get that 7 spot. And the Jaguars can, if they lose the AFC title game on Saturday night versus the Titans, and the Dolphins, Patriots, and Steelers all lose, the Jaguars would actually get in the back door as the 7th seed as well. So If the Jaguars lose on Saturday, they're still not completely out of it yet. And then we have the AFC South title game Saturday night. We'll be covering that one in a little bit. That's actually our first game of the week. So we have the 7-9 Titans at the 8-8 Jaguars. This one's being played on Saturday night, 8:15 on ESPN. Jags are -6.5 here, over under 40. Jaguars clinch the division with a win or a tie. The Titans need to win this one outright to get the division title. So big game here to start off the week, Kev. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I got the Jags 26, Titans 21. So the Titans covering that 6.5 and the over of 40 hitting. I'm usually a big believer in the Titans and really respect Mike Vrabel, but I just don't think this is their year. The Jags have been rolling as of late, and Doug will have his guys ready to go to win the AFC South in this game. I also think Trevor Lawrence is going to play well like he has been for the past month, and the Jags defense is going to also be able to control Derrick Henry. Josh Dobbs did look serviceable last week, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. The Jags beat the Titans 26-22 in Week 14. They did have 4 takeaways that game, and I don't see that happening again. So I think it will be a lot closer, but I'm going to ride with the hot and healthy team here.
I'm going to take some chaos to spice up things to start off the week. I think everyone's on the Titans in this one, so the Jaguars in this one with the way that they've been playing recently and the way the Titans have been playing. I'm going to take the Titans actually to win the 17-14, so Titans plus 6.5 under 40. So give me the Titans winning the AFC South. A bit of a bold pick here with the Jags, maybe being the hottest team in football, 6 out of 8. Trevor Lawrence looking like the stud we expected him to be. He's got 14 touchdowns, passing to only 2 interceptions over his last 8 games. Like I said, though, everyone's on the Jags. It seems like a lot of people are going to be taking them, even with the spread in this one. I'm just going to say not so fast. This is still a young and inexperienced team. The Titans have a lot of guys that have been there and done that before. They've won the division the past 2 years, and even with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, I say they make it 3 years in a row division champs, and they're going to do it on the back of Derrick Henry is my prediction. I think this is a team that their whole identity is on the offensive side of the football is really surrounding this guy. Why not go out there in this game and give it to him 30, 35 times? Just feed him the rock time and time again and make the Jaguars find a way to stop him. In 12 career games against the Jags, he averages 105.3 yards per game, and he's had 15 total rushing touchdowns. I'm going to go with the side of history here. And like I said earlier, I do expect some chaos to happen this weekend, and no better way for the NFL to get some chaos and some eyeballs on the TV with a potential upset here after the Jags have really stormed back from the dead, and the Titans look like they had the division in the bag most of the year. This would be a really good, season finale for the AFC South. So I think a big run by Derrick Henry on like one of those long kind of historic touchdown runs that we've seen him have over the years. I think that's the one that seals the deal in this one, and the Titans go to the playoffs. Don't know how much damage they'll be able to do there, but anytime you can hang in a division champion banner and make it to the playoffs is a pretty successful year. Now we go to Sunday. We have the Jets at 7-9 who are eliminated at the Dolphins 8-8, 1 o'clock on CBS. This is a pick 'em right now, over under 38.5. So as I said earlier, the Dolphins needed to win this one, and then they need the Patriots to lose to the Bills as well. But like we said, that game is still up in the air, it sounds like. So some speculation to be done with this one. But what are your thoughts on this game, Kev, if everything else shakes out the way it should?
I got the Jets 21, Dolphins 13. The Jets winning outright in the under of 38.5 hidden. The Jets defense, I think, will be able to stop the Skylar Thompson-led Dolphins. The Jets defense has looked really stellar this entire year, and they have some really great young pieces on all 3 levels of the defense. They are out of playoff contention, but I think they'd love to eliminate the Dolphins here. Also, on the offensive side of the ball, Mike White still wants to prove he can be a starter in this league and maybe even be the Jets' full-time starter next year. I haven't been high on the Dolphins this year, and I think the Jets are a good enough team to beat them. Both teams have lots of questions heading into the offseason, and I think the Jets just try to answer a few of them with a big win here.
I'm going to take the Jets as well, 20-17 here. So Jets obviously there with the pick 'em, and then under 38.5 for the Barstool fans out there and the Frank the Tank lovers. If the Jets find a way to beat the Dolphins and keep them out of the playoffs, that will be just a funny way to end the season. Like you were saying, it sounds like it's going to be Mike White for Skylar Thompson for the season finale in a game where, as we touched on, the Dolphins need to win, and then they need the Patriots to lose to make the playoffs. And the Dolphins at one point in the year sat at 8-3. Josh Allen had that elbow injury. People started to say, oh, this is the Dolphins division now, and they've just completely collapsed. I understand it's a first-year head coach, but this has really been inexcusable. They've had a lot of injuries along the way, especially to their quarterback, but still sitting at 8-3, you should have made the playoffs. And if you're putting yourself in this position with Skylar Thompson at the helm, I think you only have yourself to blame. I think it would also be very Jets-esque to win a meaningless Week 18 game and hurt their draft position potentially for the next year. After they collapsed late in the season as well, they were 7-3 at one point. So expect an ugly one here. I'm going to make a prediction, a defensive touchdown from each squad. I think we get like a pick six or a strip sack fumble for 6 in this one. So I think we get ugly football here. Not the best offensive showing, but I think the Jets do pull out the win here in Week 18. Maybe use that as a little bit of momentum with a 8-9 year, better than most people I think expected. And then the Dolphins finish with a disappointing 8-9. Jets win on a last-second field goal, my prediction. So Jets with the pick 'em there, and then under 38.5. Third game of the week, AFC North battle, the 7-9 Browns coming off a win against the Commanders at the Steelers, who are 8-8, who had that big-time win on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens, 1 o'clock on CBS here. Steelers come in as -3-point favorites, and over-under is 40.5. Steelers needs to win this game and get some help, as we touched on earlier, to sneak in the back door as that 7 seed.
The Steelers winning 23, Browns 21. The Browns covering the 3 and the over of 40.5 hidden. Pickett's play hasn't improved and the defense is playing at a high level. I think Deshaun continues to struggle here and hopes next season goes better. He has a QBR of 36.7, which would be sixth to last in the league if he had enough snaps to qualify. The Steelers offense can also lean into Najee Harris and take some of the load off of Pickett. And by doing that, it'll open things up for Kenny Pickett and allow him to push the ball down the field a little bit more. We all know the stat about Mike Tomlin never having a losing season. I don't think it happens here, as the Steelers have just found ways to win really close games in recent weeks.
Yep. So far we are we had the AFC South wrong, but I'm going with the same pick as you in this one. Steelers 20, Browns 18. It's really tied to kind of like you were saying with that Mike Tomlin stat. Just seems to always find a way to get his team moving towards the right direction at the end of the year, and they never really spiral out of control when it looks like they might. But I do like the Browns to cover the +3 here and under 40.5. So I have the Steelers in this scenario actually finding their way in and getting the 7 seed. If that Patriots-Bills game is played, I do have the Bills winning. So the Steelers would get the 7 seed thanks to some help from the Jets as well as the Bills in this game. Another ugly game, though, I think on tap that should be pretty low scoring. I'm expecting a lot of unders this weekend with a lot of meaningless games out there as well. I could see teams kind of just mailing it in. And the AFC North matchups really have been prime territory for unders. Was doing a little research on the total for this game. In these two teams' last 10 combined games this season, it has only gone over this number once, and that was a 27-14 Browns win over the Texans. So it only hit by half a point. So prime under game. With that being said, it wouldn't surprise me to see it be like 35-30 at the end of the day. Another interesting stat I saw is Deontay Johnson has 0 receiving touchdowns this year. I'm not sure if that's a reflection of Kenny Pickett and what Mitch Trubisky was in there doing beginning of the year, or just poor receiver play from him. But I expect both of these teams to be in the wide receiver market this offseason because they both have had pedestrian passing offenses for pretty much the entire season, even when Jacoby Brissett was in there. And then you look at since Deshaun Watson got back in the fold, neither of these teams really lit up in the passing game. And as we know, this is a passing league now. You got to improve in that aspect. I think that's just something that both of these teams will attack this offseason. But going right back to this game, I think the Steelers are hot right now, still in the mix for that playoff spot with a win and some help. They have a little moxie to them as well. If they do find a way to sneak in that back door, I think they could make this game interesting just because they're used to playing these close, kind of low-scoring, tough games, and some of these other playoff teams in the AFC might not be used to that kind of style. So I expect the Bills to beat the Patriots if that game is played. And that would eventually result with the Steelers win here with them getting in the playoffs based off my prediction. So if the Steelers, they look dead in the water at 2-6, I believe, find a way to rally and get into the playoffs, that would be one of the more impressive things of Mike Tomlin's career. But I'll take them to win this game, but the Browns to cover and the under to hit. Fourth game of the week, we go out west to Seattle now with the 5-11 Rams, reigning Super Bowl champs, not going back to the playoffs, obviously. At the Seahawks, we're 8-8, 425 on Fox. Seahawks minus 6.5, over under 41.5. Give me your thoughts on this one, Kev. Seahawks need to win as well as a Packers loss to get into the playoffs.
We got the Seahawks winning by 10, 27, Rams 17. So the Seahawks covering the 6.5 and the over 41.5 hidden. The Rams just aren't good enough. They may be able to get up for this game because they can end the Seahawks playoff hopes here. But that being said, the Rams have struggled outside of LA this year, going 1-5-1 against the spread on the road. The Rams also have the number 31 ranked total offense and have failed to crack 17 points in 3 of Baker's 4 games in LA. The Seahawks, I think, are good enough and with Geno Smith and the running game on offense to win comfortably here at home.
Yeah, this is another game where it's like the NFL put that Lions-Packers game on Sunday Night Football, I think maybe for a reason. Maybe the Rams go out and find a way to upset the Seahawks here, so then that one's like a win and get in situation on Sunday Night Football that could be like one of those NFL rigged, NFL scripted type things. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Rams find a way to win this, and especially because with them not owning their first round draft pick, it's not like they should just completely mail it in this one because it doesn't benefit them at the end of the day. But with all that being said, I'm still going to just take the Seahawks just based off of some football logic, so that usually tends to go wrong. I'll take him 23-17, Rams plus 6.5 there, under 41.5. The Rams are just so injured and have nothing to play for in this one. Like I said, they don't have a reason to mail it in either, but the Seahawks, on the other hand, are attempting to put themselves into the playoffs with a win and then some help from the Lions on Sunday night. And that would be a big-time year. A lot of people had the Seahawks like a top 2 or 3 pick coming into this year, thinking that they would be one of the worst teams, and they've really surprised, but kind of like we saw with the Jets, another team that was really surprising and then really cooled off over the second half of the season. There just isn't enough, though, right now with this Rams team. I think Baker's going to go out there and want to play really well, though, as he's trying to earn a starting gig. And I think he's really shown the league a lot that he can play, getting thrown into the fire here and leading the Rams to some success over his few starts. On the Seahawks side, I'm expecting a heavy dosage of Kenneth Walker in this one. He has 23 carries, at least, and over 100 rushing yards in each of his last 2 games. He's only 64 yards away from reaching 1,000 in his rookie season, where he wasn't even really getting the ball that much at the beginning of the year, and he has missed some time as well. So a big rookie year, getting over that 1,000-yard mark would be a nice start to his career. I do think the Rams keep it close in this one, but a big day from Walker, a heavy dosage of him on the ground, sets them up with a potential trip to the playoffs based on the night game. So Seahawks win, Rams cover, and the under hits. All right, final game of the regular season, pending on what they wind up doing with Bengals-Bills as well. But Sunday Night Football, we have the 8-8 Detroit Lions at the 8-8 Green Bay Packers, 8:20 NBC. Packers come in at home here, 4.5-point favorites, over under of 49. Winning in here for the Packers. You think Aaron Rodgers makes it back to the playoffs, Kev?
I do. I am taking the Packers 24, Lions 23. So the Lions do cover, but the under at 49 hits. The Packers defense has come alive of late, and they are coming into this game playing really well. They're allowing the 8th lowest points per game and the 6th fewest rushing yards per game over the last 3 weeks. And this is kind of what Aaron Rodgers lives for, breaking the hearts of a division rival and showing everyone that early season struggles are nothing to worry about and everyone can relax and it's nothing he can't overcome. I'm going to not pick against him in this spot, and I expect him to have a great game. I do think it will be a close and competitive game with the Lions being in it the entire time. It is also a big deal to me that the game is in Lambeau, which I also think is a big deal to Aaron Rodgers. We know how well he plays there, and especially against divisional opponents. I also think Detroit's going to know going into the game that their playoff chances are done, because I do see the Seahawks beating the Rams in the 4 o'clock window. So I think that might play into it a little bit as well.
I'm going to choose chaos. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions winning. I know having the Seahawks win, they wouldn't get in, but still, you have a chance to keep out the guy who's owned your division for the past, whatever it is, 15 years. Aaron Rodgers has destroyed divisional opponents, like you said, Kev. I think it would be a little bit of some sweet revenge if you're able to kick him out of the playoffs or keep him out of the playoffs and then really catapult yourself going into the next year. So even if the Seahawks do win this game, I think the message in that locker room, especially for that core group of guys coming back, like, all right, let's win this one and let's really build going into next year. A team that was picking second overall, now they're finishing the year 9-8. That would be a really good improvement from year 1 to year 2 under Dan Campbell. So I'll go Lions 23, Packers 20. So Lions plus 4.5, under 49. The greatest reality show on TV is the NFL each and every week, and I think they're going to supply some major drama this weekend. And they're going to the regular season finale just to provide that. After winning 4 straight and with the Green Bay Packers and getting all the help they needed, here they are with that shot to just win and get in, and Aaron Rodgers getting a chance to return to the playoffs after last year getting bounced in their first game as the 1 seed. And then when, like I said, you're looking at this underdog Lions team alongside the Jaguars have been like a great watch over the second half of the year. And the 2 teams that picked 1 and 2 last year could be going to the playoffs. That would be something really cool to see. But even if the Seahawks do win, I think you win this game, you build so much momentum going into 2023. I think that keeps Jared Goff around for another year as a starting quarterback as well. Give him a chance to really rally around those guys again. Like you said, with Aaron Rodgers dominating the division opponents, I was surprised to see he's actually only 9-10 against the Packers over the past decade, which is far less dominant than I thought with the Lions, how bad that they've been. But this game, like you said, Kev, is at Lambeau. That does provide another element to it. But I think everyone is just believing that the Packers are a shoo-in for the final spot. And I think that's exactly what underdogs teams like the Lions like and really thrive off of. Jared Goff outduels Aaron Rodgers. Bold prediction here. Sends both teams home, but one is a little more happy than the other and builds some great momentum going into 23. And who knows with Aaron Rodgers. Another disappointing year. Maybe he does wind up retiring, but I'm going to take some chaos and go with the Lions here. So Lions cover as well in the under hit. All right, last best bet and upset special of the year because we'll do best bet for the playoffs, but I mean you can't force a upset special come playoff time. So I'll start it off with the best bet. I will go under 38 in the Texans and Colts game. Really low number, but this is just going to be a terrible game. Like I don't really see any reason watching it for a football fan. 2 teams that are just going to be trying so hard to lose this game. And if the Texans win this one and the Bears lose, the Bears would go to the number 1 pick. So the Texans don't want to win and the Colts don't want to win either. They're sitting at the number 5 overall pick right now. They win this, they fall down the board more. They desperately need a QB and they might even have to trade up to get one. You want to be as close to that number 1 or number 2 as possible. So both teams, neither trying to win. You get Davis Mills versus Sam Ehlinger. A lot of conservative play calling. The only thing I could see being a little bit wild about this game is Lovie Smith might be getting fired, and I doubt Jeff Saturday is coming back as well. So maybe 2 coaches who have nothing to lose just go out there and say F it and just go for it on every 4th down, and this game becomes complete chaos. But if they play like a normal football game, I think we see like a 7-6 type game in this one. So under 38, Texans Colts.
My best bet is the Vikings minus 7.5 against the Chicago Bears. The Vikings could move up to the 2 seed with a win. Justin Fields may not play because of injury. Also, partly they might want to not win the game. Like you said, they could potentially move up the draft order. The Vikings offense is just going to be too much for the Bears, and I think they're going to just try and get as much momentum as they can going into the playoffs because they've kind of fallen off a little bit recently. So I'm taking the Vikings minus 7.5.
Yeah, that's another one I was looking at, especially when the news came out that Fields wouldn't be playing and Nathan Peterman's out there. But then at the same time, it's the Vikings who 12 wins, but a negative 19-point differential. You don't know what you're getting out of them, but I like that pick as well. Then we go to the upset special. I'll ride with the Lions over the Packers there. I like that pick. I picked that in our Big Five for all the reasons that I said. I think it's a big game that really just boost your morale as a team and just kind of catapults you into next year. It kind of goes back to my pick with South Carolina over Tennessee in the college football season, where I just thought it was one of those games that could really flip the fortune and kind of change the view of your team, I guess, from outside and inside. Lions eliminating Aaron Rodgers, maybe ending the Packers run in the NFC North. I think that could be just a huge win for Detroit and that culture going forward. So win or lose, if whether they're going to the playoffs or not due to the Seattle game, I still like them to find a way to win this game and pull that out. So they're plus 4.5 on the spread and plus 180 on the money line.
My upset special, I'm going with the Panthers against the Saints. They are plus 3.5, plus 160 on the money line. I just think there's a game between two teams who don't really have anything to play for, and I'm just going to pick the Panthers here.
All right. Well, that'll do it. The regular season finale for NFL Big Five games of the week here on Beef Up Front. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in all year. We will be back next week, as always, with the playoffs. Have you covered throughout there, covering every playoff game. So, any last second comments, Kev, before we head out on this regular season?
Yeah, hopefully the Birds are able to wrap up the 1 seed in division this weekend.
All right. Thank you, everyone, once again for listening, and we will talk next week.